Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about the new Warner Brothers film on HBO Max and in theaters, The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn. This one hit HBO Max in theaters Thursday night at 7, and I watched it kind of throughout the day today, Friday the 6th. I watched it kind of throughout the day today. I had a whole lot of other things going on, so it was kind of like I watched it in bits and pieces, but I was taking notes the whole time for the preparation of this video, so I don't feel like I lost anything by having to stop and go. But I thought this film was pretty enjoyable. I don't know necessarily how I would rank it among the other DC films that have come out over the course of the DCEU, but I kind of lean toward putting it number one, and I'm going to get to why a little bit later, but make no mistake, I still had issues with this film, but I think its good outweighs its bad, and I think that it succeeded in places where virtually every DC film has failed. But to start off, I feel like unsurprisingly, this is a very Guardians of the Galaxy type movie. But here's where I think the problem is. Guardians benefits from the fact that it takes place like in other worlds, like in outer space, right? Because you got a fucking talking raccoon, you got a fucking talking tree, you got a green person, like you got all this weird shit, right? And remember, if you were watching at the time, remember what it was like to see the Marvel logo and think, oh, here's our next Marvel movie, and seeing that first trailer for Guardians. You were probably like, what the fuck is this? And the reason Guardians doesn't throw you off with that weird shit is because it takes place in other worlds. You know, having a talking tree isn't weird when they're in a world of other weird things, like other talking creatures and things like that. What makes the weirdness of this stand out more is the fact that it's a grounded film outside of that. You know, this takes place on Earth. You got, everyone else is normal. You only got this group that has weirdos in it. And I think when you have that dynamic, it makes the weirdness of the group stand out more. And I'm not framing that as a good thing or a bad thing. It's more just an observation. Like, okay, the weirdness is weirder when everyone else around you is not weird. And the Guardians films don't have that dynamic, and this did. And I don't know if I wouldn't call it off-putting or anything like that, but it made it a little bit more noticeable, put it that way. One of the things that I want to talk about with this film is why I think it works in ways that other DC films haven't. So I'm going to talk about some of the things I like, talk about some of the things I didn't like. I don't really have too many random thoughts, but so this goes for humor, right? This is a really funny movie. Like, this had a whole lot of great lines, a whole lot of funny moments. This movie succeeds in the humor department. Where and why DC fails is because it feels like DC watched Marvel find success in humor and go, we need to do that too. So they shoehorn that shit in there. And it's a lot more difficult to do humor when your characters are in such dark worlds, right? And what I mean by dark worlds, I don't necessarily mean like in the literal sense, like the world is dark. But I mean, what I mean by that is when you have a guy who shoots polka dots, it's a lot easier to land humor because we've already suspended disbelief on like taking this shit too seriously. Like, you got a fucking polka dot guy, you got that fucking weasel, and man, that weasel, the weasel should have been, the biggest problem I have with this movie was that the weasel wasn't in the whole thing. That's my biggest problem. That fucking weasel should have been in this movie. And if they do another one, I want that weasel in it. But anyway, when you got a character like that weasel, we've already left like reality at the door at that point. Like, we got a fucking weasel here. It's like, okay, I'm not taking this too seriously. So when you want to fire off that humor and you want to get these jokes between John Cena and Idris Elba going off, it lands a lot easier because we've already kind of suspended disbelief as far as taking the shit seriously. Conversely, it's a lot more difficult to have Batman cracking jokes. So like, it's you got these dark ass Batman movies and Superman movies, and you think Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman. It's a lot harder to land jokes in those situations, and I think that's where again where Marvel finds success where DC does not, and bringing in James Gunn to kind of give it that vibe and to help make it a little bit more accessible to humor, I think was a win for Warner Brothers here. And if you look at the first one, like they tried to do it too, but and you got Will Smith in it, a guy who's known for being funny, and it doesn't land when you're having this dark, serious, angry ass movie, but then you got characters trying to joke around. And I don't have any problems with trying to interject humor into a serious movie, but all I'm saying is that it's a lot more difficult to pull off. And when you have something that's like this detached from reality, that humor comes a lot easier. So I thought this did a great job with the humor. I thought John Cena continues to be really good in everything he does. And it's always like from a humor perspective, right? But I don't know. I find John Cena to be incredibly likable. And he looks like someone I'd hate. But like everything he's in, I always find him to be really likable. Idris was great in this. I think I liked all of the characters. I thought the polka dot guy had good moments. I thought Harley had good moments. The Ratcatcher 2, they didn't really give her too much to do. But all in all, I think this movie was pretty funny. So they nailed it on the humor from the humor perspective. Another thing I liked was I liked how they introduced all these characters at the beginning, right? And I'm sitting here like, these aren't any of the characters that's in the poster other than like Harley Quinn and Rick Flag. So like, these people got to die, right? And I like the fact that not only did they have that first team go in to kind of like draw the attention to them as a distraction for the team that we would see throughout the rest of the movie, but I loved how over the top violent this is. And that scene was where they kill all those characters. I'm a sucker for over the top violence, like violence that is just not even like realistic and overly brutal and grotesque. I love that shit. And like they had, I mean, you got bullets, exploding heads, you got limbs being ripped off, you got characters being ripped apart, characters eaten, like all that over the top violence, right up my alley. I love that shit. I thought King Shark was good. I don't know I haven't read any reviews or anything like that. I don't know how the streets are feeling about King Shark, but coming into it, you got the King Shark, in recent memory anyway, the King Shark that we've seen on The Flash, and then you have King Shark that we've seen on the animated Harley Quinn series on HBO Max. Two starkly different iterations of King Shark. And it looks like they decided in this one to kind of combine the two. Like you get the seriousness, you get the murder, but you also get a little bit of humor from him as well, and a touch of an accent, I think. So like, I thought they did enough to make King Shark pretty entertaining, by also making him incredibly violent. So I thought they did a good job with King Shark. I mentioned the overtop violence was my shit. I talked about the humor of it. I'm looking at my notes right now. Yeah, the fucking weasel, man. I gotta bring that weasel back. I also thought the Harley's escape scene where she, she's tied up and getting beat up, and she ends up, escaping from this place right before she gets rescued. I thought that escape scene was really cool. I like when she, she's picking up other guys' guns as she kills them. She picks up that javelin, it's a super violent scene. It's really cool to watch. It looks amazing. James Gunn did a great job with the visuals in this. It's weird to compliment a giant, incredibly colorful starfish destroying a city as great visuals, because like my brain wants to say this is stupid. And that it is a dumb movie. Like there's a lot of dumb shit in this movie. It's one of those kind of like it's a popcorn movie at the end of the day, and I say that about a lot of stuff, but I mean, this isn't something that's in the upper echelon of comic book films, but it is really good, but it's one that it is dumb. Like there's not a lot of meat on the bones here. You don't learn too much about any characters. The story's not overly complex. It's pretty simple, but it manages to successfully pull off entertaining incredibly well. But yeah, I thought that escape scene with Harley was really cool. Lastly, I thought and this is what another way that I say that this succeeded in places where DC movies typically don't. I thought this ended well, which again is a lot for a giant starfish destroying a city, but it was in line with what we had seen throughout the course of the film, and it wasn't just mindless, dumb shit happening and explosions and characters just doing things that don't make sense. Like, they pulled off some moments of tension where you thought some characters might get harmed. They did kill off a couple characters, one of which appears in an end credit scene. So if you haven't watched the film yet and you're looking for my thoughts, there is an end credit scene, so don't stop it prematurely. Yeah, so they do a lot of great stuff with the ending. I found the ending to be perfectly serviceable. I did have one minor issue with the ending, but otherwise, I thought the ending was solid. And DC films have struggled mightily with endings. So shout out to them for getting that right, for the most part. So a couple of things I didn't like. Like I mentioned earlier, it is weird to see some of these characters in such a grounded world. I don't want to make it sound like a bad thing, but it's weird to me when it becomes noticeable. I don't want to say weird. It's like an issue, I think, when it becomes noticeable. Because during that ending, I'm looking at this giant colorful starfish. I'm like, what the fuck am I even watching right now? And again, a giant colorful starfish in that in one of the worlds that they visit in Guardians is not. You don't think anything of it, but if the starfish is in fucking where were they at? Corto Maltese, like that really stands out. I thought the middle dragged a little bit. The whole sequence with Harley and that one guy, Luna, that she ended up killing once he said that he'd kill everybody to do whatever it is he wanted to do. That scene sucked. They could have took that shit right out of the fucking movie. That really dragged. But I like the fact that what I would consider to be the third act started with about an hour left in the movie, and I thought, this is a lot of time with left in the film for us to be already starting on what is ultimately going to be the closing sequence. But like I said, they nailed the ending as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, the middle part dragged a little bit after they killed off the original crew and then brought in the ones that we were going to see throughout the entire movie, and they kind of started their mission. It dragged a little bit at that point, just a little bit. But again, not too much to complain about. And then the last thing that I did find a little, I don't want to call it annoying is strong, but it was noticeable and not in a good way. And it was part of the ending, but again, I don't think this takes away from the ending as a whole. I just noticed this and I thought, I wonder if this is intentional. And if it is intentional, are we supposed to not notice this? But there's a sequence at the end that almost is virtually identical to the ending of the first Avengers movie. And that, I don't know, it didn't quite sit well with me. Because the thing with this film is, with the whole thing about this being like Guardians of the Galaxy, it makes James Gunn look like a one-trick pony. You got Guardians, you got Guardians 2, and now you got Guardians 2.5, which is this, right? And I was thinking throughout the film, I'm like, it feels like James Gunn really only has one thing that he can do at this point. And it's good, it works, but it's still like, can you do anything else? And the fact that I feel like he very blatantly copied the ending of the Avengers film was, again, not a good look, bro. You got to work on your creativity a little bit here. So what I'm referring to is there's a scene where Idris's character kind of shouts instructions at the rest of the team, just like Cap does at the end of the Avengers film. He tells Harley, go take the high ground, just like Cap told Hawkeye at the end of there. And he tells King Shark, that thing right there is Nom Nom. Completely the same as Hulk smash. Completely the same thing. And then he jumps off just like Hulk did. It was, oh man, I'm like, this is just did you even try to not remind me of the end of Avengers with this right now. And man, that was just like Avengers. And then he stays down there with Ratcatcher, just like Cap stayed down there with Black Widow. And yeah, it felt very very Avengers. I was almost surprised because like toward the end they have it looks like the big starfish is gonna win, and I'm thinking like, is someone gonna swoop in like Iron Man and and like save the day here, or like like Hulk punching that one oh my god, now I forgot the names of the damn things from Avengers. You guys know what I'm talking about. The things that were flying around. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on their names now. But yeah, I thought that was a little bit much. Like this is too much like Avengers. But all those flaws to me were very minor. My biggest issue was that middle sequence with Harley and that guy. Like I didn't like that. I didn't like that sequence. So I did think it dragged a little bit in the middle. That was my biggest issue with it. But I thought the beginning was really solid. I thought most of the middle was fine. And I thought it ended well. So I'd say like out of your 2 hours, give or take, there's maybe like about 20 minutes that we could have tossed out of the film. That not a huge deal. Like I said, the Avengers thing, not a huge deal to me. And it's not enough to outweigh all the things that I really liked. Like I really liked the banter. I really liked the violence. I really liked the comedy. I really liked a lot of the characters. Even, the polka dot guy was even good, had his moments. Like King Shark was fun. Like I really enjoyed virtually most aspects of this film. So, and that's why I said I think I might put it first because of the ending, because they didn't completely shit the bed on the ending. And that was my only issue with the first Wonder Woman movie. I begrudgingly kept the first Wonder Woman movie at the top of the DCEU films, even though the ending was terrible. And I don't understand how people were just like, oh, Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman. I'm like, 2/3 of Wonder Woman was great. 1/3 of it was terrible. That does not apply here. So, but I don't think this movie doesn't reach, I don't think necessarily the heights that the first Wonder Woman reached. But again, we're talking about 2 entirely different films. It's like comparing fucking Guardians to, not even Guardians, it's like comparing like Ant-Man to Infinity War. Like they're very different films. So, yeah, I thought this was really enjoyable. I do recommend it. This is a great movie with for replay value. Like this, like I mentioned before, I think it was I can't remember. There was something that I recommended kind of tepidly that I just said, like, it's a popcorn movie. Get your drink, get your smoke, whatever it is that you like to do on a Friday night. Watch this and you'll be fine. Like, it's not great, it's not bad, but watch this, you'll be cool. This is something that I could see this being fun on repeat viewings. Like, this is a fun one. So, I do put it. I think I am gonna put this ahead of Wonder Woman. I know some people had Shazam at the top. I don't agree with that at all, but. I put this ahead of Wonder Woman as probably the best DC film so far out of the DCEU, and I think overall this is a success for them and for James Gunn. I would love to see more of these characters. I thought all these characters were pretty interesting, the ones that lived. I'd love to see more of these characters. I saw that there's going to be a spin-off TV series for Peacemaker, so that I'm fully in on that shit. Like, man, like John Cena was. Yeah, John Cena was the best character in the movie. So I count me in. I will be doing episode by episode coverage of Peacemaker whenever that drops on HBO Max. So you can definitely check in for that. But for now, yeah, I give this one 2 thumbs up. Check it out. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun Friday night, and it's one that I think that you can still enjoy on repeat viewings because it is that fun and it is pretty interesting. It is pretty run of the mill, but it's not, doesn't do anything special, and it does have its flaws, but. It's not. Everything can't be Infinity War, right? Everything can't be Guardians. He struck lightning with. Lightning struck with Guardians. Guardians 2 was not up to that level, but still, moderately entertaining. And this one kind of, I think, sets the path right for James Gunn. So I look forward to seeing more from him on Suicide Squad if he continues to work on that, and I will be checking out that Peacemaker series for fucking sure. So let me know what you thought in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.